Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Jumpstart Your Business webinar series. And we've had another 5 fantastic webinars on how to use a lot of the new tools inside of ScoreCEO to help you jumpstart your inbound sales marketing strategies, and how to automate a lot of that, as well as automating a lot of the customer service continuation, as well as managing, looking at examples on how to manage your internal sales teams if you have more robust sales teams or plan to go in that direction, all within ScoreCEO through tags, broadcast lists. We've discussed forms, lots of automation. So please feel free to take a look at all of the previous webinars. These last 5 webinars have been truly exciting to go ahead and deliver them to you, so that they can be of use to all of your businesses in helping you be compliant and successful. Today, we're going to be talking on how to use one of our native integrations with JotForms, and how to connect it to ScoreCEO to help you increase your efficiency. If you want to maximize it, minimize your involvement in it, definitely creating beautiful forms that integrate with ScoreCEO is probably something that you want to do, and on your websites, on your landing pages, on different for different areas of your business. Let's say landing pages that you might want to have for your partners, let's say, landing pages that you may want to have for specific sales personnel, or just general landing pages that have forms on them that need to be used as a inbound marketing strategy. And let me tell you something, inbound marketing strategies right now are the buzzword and the thing to do in the credit repair space, unless you want to wait for 6 months to get paid with the telemarketing sales rule. And we'll have some interesting webinars coming up in the future on that. I would say within not the following webinar, but the one after that, will probably all on the TSR and how to combine the TSR with Credit Repair Organizations Act, and understand what the limitations are and what the level set is. And we'll be talking a lot about that in the future. And we'll be delivering. ScoreCEO has always given you a path to go ahead and build your own TSR compliant funnel, and not need to speak to customers before you close with them. But if you're not doing that, it's time to pay attention. You should be doing that, and it will be a requirement by the end of the year for ScoreCEO customers to do business with us. As you can see, Credit Repair Cloud has been engaged, and they've settled with both the Department of Justice and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and that's exactly what they're doing as well. So we have to pay attention. This is from the provider, the software provider perspective. They've also engaged large credit repair companies like creditrepair.com and Lexington Law, which have both lost cases against them through both dealing with TSR, amongst other things as well. But we'll have time to talk about that extensively and provide you solutions today, and maybe even review solutions that are going to streamline the process in the future for you as well, outside of ScoreCEO, but connecting to ScoreCEO with some really great sales funnels. Having said that, we're talking about funnels and forms. Kate, we have Kate with us again from the Credit Law Center. She's a resident CRO technology expert, and I'm glad to have her on the call, because we built this integration for her and her company originally, and she'll explain how she uses it in her business and why she loves JotForms. She's an expert at using JotForms. She's used it in the past with her other platforms, her multiple platforms that she was using in the past, and that's why she had to use JotForms along with Zapier and other pretty good productivity apps as well. So I'll let Kate present herself.
Hello, all. If you're new, it is good to have you here. As he said, my name is Kate. I work for a company called Credit Law Center. Been doing it for 13 years now. I just had my 13-year anniversary, and I'm excited to be here. So hopefully you guys get to learn some good stuff.
Awesome.
Hi, Rose.
Awesome. In fact, Thank you for being on the call this afternoon again, Kate. So let's get on with it. This is a brief overview here of what there's a lot to absorb today, and I'd rather Kate show you rather than us just go through the finite steps, right? But it's basically a 4-step process. We create a form in ScoreCEO. We create a form in JotForms. We add the webhook fields and webhooks into JotForms, and then Kate can go ahead and show you some of the things that she's doing with that and how she can create those forms. And she's going to go through that presentation today. She's going to show you how to create the forms in ScoreCEO, how to take those forms and create how to create those forms in a similar fashion in JotForms, and then connect the two with the webhook so that the JotForm form can speak to ScoreCEO directly without going through a third party. So I'll leave it up to you, Kate. She's all yours.
All right, thank you. Do you guys, can you tell me, are you already using JotForm, or is JotForm new to you? I don't know if you want to put it in the chat, or if you want to raise your hand if you're currently using JotForm, maybe. Just want to get an idea of what people. Here, I'll share my screen here so we can get off Josh's. I don't like staring at myself in your screen, Josh. There we go. Okay, so Rose has JotForm. Wonderful. And maybe that's it. All right, so we got a mix of people. Oh, yep, Chris has used it too. Great. All right, so as Josh said, the kind of a multi-step process. First, we're going to create the form snippet within Score. Then we're going to create the JotForm, and then set up the webhook integration. So here in Score, we're going to go over here to referrals and form snippet. And then we're going to create a new and name it webinar form. All right. For the return an error URL, I just always put our own creditlawcenter.com website.
What is a return URL? Let's just go over that real quick.
I believe it's if there's an error after you're completed with the form, it takes you to that website. Am I right? I might be wrong there.
No, you're exactly right. That is the successful return URL. So after there's a successful submission, it takes you to that URL. Or if there's an error URL because it generated an error upon submission, it can send you to an additional error page as well. You can control that from the form.
Cool. So from here, you also have the option to select to have the plan pre-populated for them once it's entered into Score. And if there's a specific agent that you want to attach to it as well, you can do that. So you just put the basics in there. I'm not going to use those two for right now. And I'm just going to go ahead and hit save. Well, I knew that was going to happen. I'm sorry. I was messing with this way earlier.
You're probably logged in twice.
It's like it knows that I'm doing a webinar, so it's going to mess with me and it's going to give me an error 500 only because I'm on a webinar right now. It's like it can detect that I'm sharing my screen with multiple people. All right, let's go back. You guys can still hear me okay, right? Is my internet connection?
I can hear you just fine, Kate.
Okay.
And I can see your screen.
All right, let's try this again. Webinar form. Oh, HTTP. Right, and then leave that. And if you want a tag to be added every single time this form is created, you can do that as well. Or have a tag.
You can also pre-select the plan and pre-select a partner. And by the way, going back to the TSR, selecting the plan is part of the requirement, as well as getting a signed contract with the customer before engaging with the customer at all. Via phone or via video chat. So payment plans pre-selection, we've had this pre-selection payment plan in for years, for over 2 to 3 years now. You can select a payment model plan and just connect that code for that web form to the link on your website. If you have any ideas or want to do that, just reach out to Jasmine and she can set up a call for you.
All right, so now that I've created this snippet, I'm going to need to come back and reference this code here, but we need to create it first before we go into JotForm. So we've got that. Now I'm going to jump over into JotForm. I love JotForm. I have bad words on mine apparently. I use JotForm for everything. I even have made user guides using JotForm, so I cannot speak enough about how great of a program this is. So I'm just going to go ahead and start from scratch and just do a classic form. Now, I went ahead and did this. These are the basic fields that are available to match in your JotForm to score. So we're already in progress of adding a couple more. I know we want to add a comments field and things like that. And we'll keep you guys updated on the fields that you can use in these. But for right now, that's your basic webinar form snippet fields right there. So I'm going to go over here. We're going to actually first I'll name it.
And as she's naming that, you can see that that's an ugly form, right? It's unstructured, it's unformatted, it's just fields and the headers of those fields. We want, one of the reasons why you want to use JotForm is you want to make something that's appealing to your customers without having to go through a programmer to do it, right, Kate? You can do this on your own. If you want something more sophisticated with a lot more functionality, well, if you're not versed in that area, you may need a developer, but you can get a lot done with JotForms, and she's going to show you how.
Yep. So over here on this right side, that's where you're going to get your design. You choose your font, your colors, and that sort of thing. So you can go over here to the themes and, pick your different themes, put backgrounds, make it pretty, do whatever you'd like there. There we go. We'll do that one for now. Actually, that might be kind of hard to see. We'll just go with a simple one for right now so it's easier to see. All right. So then over here on the left, this is where you can choose all the different fields that you want to add. So we know that we're going to want to add the name, email, phone, and the only ones that are actually required for them to automatically go into Score are the name and the email. If you don't have name and email, it's not going to go in there. So you definitely want to make sure that you click on the properties there. Actually, it's easier if you just right click on it and then you can just click that require button. But also when you click on each field, you can see over here, it gives you the properties for each one. And the main things that you can do here are choose if it's required or not. And then in the advanced, you can go in and put, like, if it's a read only, so you don't want them to be able to enter anything. If you want to make it smaller because you've got columns, or if you want to hide the field, which we're going to use later. And then your options here in the middle, those are just going to usually be specific to whatever type of field that you're using. So we're going to require the name. We're going to require the email. I'm not going to require the phone number, but those two have to be for the form to work. So now there are a couple other fields that we have to have in order to integrate these. And when we go back here.
Why is that, Kate?
That is because we have to tell Score which form this JotForm is going to be integrating with. So the way we do that is we get it out, the information out of these codes here. We're going to be looking for the form ID, but there's two of them. You're never going to use this top form ID up here. You're going to use this down here, the one that has a number. Both of these fields are going to be numbers that you get out of the snippet. So we're going to use the form ID, and then we're going to use this referral ID. So those are going to be fields that I add, and they're going to be hidden fields. So I'm just going to go down here to a short text, add that, and I'll call it form ID. And then from here, I'm going to go to the properties, and I'm going to hide the field. And then there's also this option for the default value. So that's where I'm going to go back here and get this form ID value is 704. So we're going to put that there. And then just to make it simple, I like to just right click and hit duplicate. And then referral ID, go back over here. The referral ID is this one.
And what is that for, Kate?
I honestly, I assume that's just another thing where it's attaching it to the form. I just know that those two things have to be there in order for Score to know what form you're putting it on.
So Chris is asking a question.
What element? What do you mean? Like what? Oh, over here, that was just the short text right here. The short text is going to look just like your normal everyday questions. Your long text is going to give you like a big box for it. So that's what you would use for your comments or something like that. Or if you want to just type out a bunch of things in there, you can use a paragraph, and then that's where you can go in and explain whatever you would like to do there. So we'll delete all those. Now, another important thing, we have all the fields that we need, but there's one other thing that we have to be careful of, and that's that we have to make sure that each one of these fields is named a specific way to basically what we're essentially doing is we're sending an HTTP post, a webhook. And so we need to make sure that the fields that we put into JotForm are mapping correctly to the fields that are in Score. And the way we do that is we have to make sure that the forms in JotForm or each of the fields in JotForm are named specifically. So name, email, phone number with the capital N, zip code if we use that, and then the form ID and the referral ID specifically that way. So I'm going to go over here, and when I click on name and go back over to the properties, go to advanced, and then scroll down to this bottom to this field details right here. There's the unique name. That's the name that we have to make sure matches specifically. So the name one, we're already good to go. Email is correct as well. Phone number is correct. And I think Josh has this in the webinar slide, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, Josh, but I think he will have these specific names for you.
Yeah, I don't have the nomenclature the same way. I'm in general mentioning the fields that are created inside of a web form.
Okay. We'll make sure that we make those all well known. So then the form ID. So it looks like the way the names need to be are pretty much how JotForm names them naturally. Referral ID. So, yep. So the way, as long as you name them that way, it is when you create the fields, and then the default names for name, email, and phone, all of those already match perfectly. So as long as you just type your fields as form ID and referral ID, it looks like it's going to be creating the field name correctly as well. Okay, so my form is ready to go. As far as the basics, I mean, of course, I can go in here and pretty this up if I need to, but I don't want to waste time doing that quite yet. So I have everything I need. I can go over here to publish and open it in a new tab so I can see exactly what it looks like there, and make sure that I'm happy with it. And if I am, the next thing I need to do is go to settings. There are a couple different settings that we want to look at. In order to complete our integration, we have to send a webhook when we're done. So we're going to go over here to integrations and just search for webhook. There it is. And then it's asking for a URL. This URL is going to be what you need to use, and it is the same for every CRO, every form. It's always going to just be this specific URL for the webhook. Oh, I have HTTP in there twice. There we go.
So that is the link to that webhook, and that is identical for every form you create.
Yes. So that
Awesome.
webhook is whenever you submit the form, it's going to send that webhook with those specific names and the fields that have been filled out to Score. And now, since we named them specifically, Score will know what to do. So it'll know that the name actually goes to the name field. Chris, you asked, how did you get to the webhook? You go to settings up here, and then you go to integrations, and then just search for webhook and click on that. And all you need is that URL, and that's it. All right.
If Chris is also asking, where do you get the actual nomenclature for the webhook itself? That is given to us by our programming staff, right? So that it's just the same webhook or for every single CRO.
So technically, I'm done with my integration. It's a 3-step process. Create the form snippet within, here you go, Chris. There's the URL that you use for webhooks. And then I'll put the names in here real quick as well, so we just have them all.
Yeah. So Chris and everyone else, it's okay. Don't worry about it. You can ask all the questions you want, but she's copying those into the Teams chat, so you guys can copy and paste them out of there as well, or just review the replay of this webinar after we've completed the webinar.
There you go. Okay. So 3-step process: create the form snippet within Score, create your JotForm and make sure the names are correct, and then set up the webhook integration. Those are the 3 steps. We are now technically done. There are a couple other things that I'm going to show you just to make sure of, though, that we want to, settings to make sure it all works right. First is up here, we're still under the settings, the emails. So JotForm is automatically going to send an email notification every time your form is filled out. So you need to tell it where that notification needs to go and what that notification needs to look like. So by default, it's going to send it to my email address since I'm the admin of the account, but you can go in here and you can, it's got your form fields, just like your variables that you can use within the subject or the body of the email. And then by default, it's going to look like this and add every single one of your fields. So you can go in and change this. And if you know how to get real fancy, I always recommend going full screen. It makes it a little bit easier, but you can even go in and do the HTML code and really make it exactly how you want it. Get smaller. So that is what the email will look like that is sent. And then from here, you can go to recipients and you can specify where you want that email sent. And then under advanced, you can, there's just random little fields. You can mess around with that. You can add your own domain and do all the SMTP settings and all that. So that way the email comes from your own domain. I don't have it that way. We're fine with them coming from JotForm. My company likes seeing JotForm because we know if we have an email from JotForm, that's a new lead. So we like leaving it coming from JotForm personally. So you want to make sure your email notifications are set the way you want. Or if you don't want, well, save it. If you don't want an email notification, you can just delete it. So that's the one setting. The second setting that I always go to is the thank you page. So by default, it's going to look like this whenever the form is submitted. But you can, again, mess with this, or you can redirect to an external link after the submission if you would rather do that. Like if you want it to go to your own company website, then you can do that and put that in here. Save. All right. So we are ready to go. Now, one thing to know about these is anytime these are filled out, the lead is going to be round robin to any of your sales reps as long as they are included in the round robin. Josh, is the excluded from round robin, is that released to all CROs?
No.
Okay. So coming soon, you'll actually be able to take people in and out of your round robin. But for right now, it will include all of your salespeople. And then, all right, so I think that's the one I did, right? We'll just do it again. Open a new tab. So we're ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and bait test. Six four eight 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 eight. Nobody probably knows what that is. That's Pizza Hut's number from forever ago, just in case y'all needed to know that. All right, so if I go to submit, the redirect took me straight to my website as soon as I was done. Now let's go ahead and go to score. Wrong chat, Josh. And look, already Kate test is there. It has been assigned to my salesperson, Russell. And there's the email. Apparently it puts a kind of default address in there that you'll need to change, and then phone. So that is integrating your JotForm. Do you have any questions up to this point? Anything more specific that you would like to see within JotForm or within Score? Back to my chat here.
I think Chris has a question.
What you got, Chris? You can talk if you want. If you don't want to type it all out, you can just ask a question.
By the way, Kate, the remove from the round robin, I correct myself. It was deployed to all portals, not just your portal.
Oh, great. Well, then let's talk about that real quick while Chris is answering us here. So if you go into your user settings, and then
just raise your hand if you want to talk, and I'll open up your mic. Let me see if I can do that from here.
So when you're in your settings, for your user settings down here, you've got exclude in round robin. So since Aurora is my cat and my test dummy as a salesperson in here, I do not want round robins to be assigned to her, obviously. So we've added this option to exclude people in the round robin. So if you have, kind of part-timers that might not be around that day, then I would suggest excluding them from the round robin so your leads can be called by people that are actually working every day. Chris.
Chris can talk now. Chris, all you have to do is unmute yourself. Chris? You have to unmute yourself, I think. In Teams. Just click on the mic. It shouldn't have anything going through it. I've enabled your mic.
And by the way, here's the email that I received from JotForm with the information from the submission.
For some reason, so we're having some technical difficulties, Chris. I don't know what's going on. Teams is a little flaky. I think we should use Zoom moving forward, but yeah, so are we. We're used to Zoom. We use both, but we use Teams inside of Score. But if you see your
Josh,
microphone,
I think you have to make them a presenter and then you can put them back as an attendee.
Can you
and
do
it
that
should
for
let
me?
you. Yes, no problem.
Thank you.
Yeah, we need to set our settings beforehand to just allow mics, and then we can go in and say mute everybody at the beginning, but maybe we just allow it from the beginning.
There we go. There's Chris. How you doing, Chris?
Yeah, I got a Teams meeting tomorrow, so I guess I got to get used to this.
There you go.
But yeah, so I guess I missed a step. Sorry, I was trying to create it as I go because, I'm a doer and that's how I learn.
For sure.
And I've done a lot of JotForms before. But so the snippet, did you put the snippet in somewhere in the JotForm that I missed that part?
Yep. So when you first go to the snippet, that's step one, is creating the snippet because you're going to need that information from it.
Yep,
So
I got the snippet made, but then did you copy
did you
and
click
paste the
save?
snippet somewhere?
Did you click save after you made it? Or is it still, because it's
Still
not
on
going
my
to show. Here, I'll show you. So if you hit create new, it's not going to give you that code or anything yet. So once you hit save and you go back into it, it'll show this code thing right here. And that's where you're going to extract the form ID and the referral ID. Just make sure that you get the ones that are numbers because that is incorrect.
So you don't have to paste
No,
the
you don't-
entire snippet somewhere.
No,
It's-
no, I know,
Nope.
I know why he's asking that. A lot of other form builders, Chris, have you just copy the whole form snippet.
Yeah.
Since there is a little bit of structure in there, you don't need to do it. It's actually simpler. All you have to do is address the actual variables themselves and make sure that the names of those variables align with the way the HTTP post will call out through the webhook to back to ScoreCEO. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so I guess then where do you put those values? Maybe I missed.
So that
Like even the
is.
form ID and the referral ID, I put them in the box.
Yep, you want to make those the default value. So when you create those two fields, go to your properties and then go to advanced and then make sure you hide those fields so the people filling the forms out don't see it. But then there's also going to be the default value field, and that's where you're going to type in the 704 or the form ID value and then
Make that larger, Kate. It's very small. Make that larger so that they can see. Is there any way to make that even bigger? Yeah, there you go. So you see where it says form HF form ID value 704?
Yep.
That's one of the values there. So that's going to be called the same. That value is going to be the same every time you create. I'm talking about the name of the value, not the actual content or information contained in that value. That'll be a randomized number, right? But that HF form ID field value is the value you want to add there, and the HF referral ID value, which in this case is 1265514. That may be a reference value back to somebody that's attached to this form.
Got it.
So, but those are your numbers.
Okay. Yeah. I think I got it now. So now I can test it.
So
Okay,
if you
awesome.
go to look at my other one and see if those, so the form ID is different. 1265514. Yeah, so apparently the referral ID must be the company, like it must be referring to my portal because that referral ID is the same as my other form, but the form ID specifically changed because the other one was 704. So basically, if you want to create multiple different forms, then you can just clone this form, and then all you have to do is go in and just change that form ID. Now, one thing that can be helpful, this can be very helpful for your tracking of where these different forms came from. So instead of placing one form in several different places or on different websites or even integrating it with your Facebook ads or live chat, whatever you want to do, create a different form for each place that you're going to place your form. Because what you can do is remember how on the settings here, we can add specific tags whenever each form is created. So you can add a specific tag for Facebook ad. That way, you can have better tracking and see where most of your leads are coming from when it comes to your different form snippets. Also want to let you or make sure I show you whenever a lead is filled out through a web form, when you look at the client intake, it is going to show that over here that the lead source was a web to lead. That's how you can tell there.
Hey, if you go out to the dashboard, you can also see which of those forms, if you use that strategy, which I totally recommend, scroll to a little bit. You can see where your lead sources come from, and that's important. But further on down, go ahead and scroll further on down, Kate. Continue. You see where the web form submission is? You can see specifically what forms are converting better, and it'll tell you the name of the form that's converting better as well. This is also very useful.
Yep, for sure. Then I can
Right.
probably go click. Yep, I can go click on it, and it's going to give me a list of all of the people that have been submitted using that form. So there's my webinar form, and there's the one lead that was submitted on that. All right. Any more questions? What about specific to JotForm itself?
I've got a question. How do you beautify it? Make it even more beautiful.
Oh, all sorts of different ways. Let me go and duplicate that. And so if we go to my landing pages, so here, this is one of my specific landing pages that we have on our website. And that's why we haven't integrated our JotForms quite yet, because I've got a couple more. I want to be able to ask for comments and things like that. So that's why I say, though, I assume very soon we will have a couple more fields that we'll be able to use. And I believe these comments and things will just append to the notes in Score. But you want to make it look the way, if you are going to embed this on your website, really this part is the only part that matters. It doesn't really matter what's outside of the form. But let me show you on the CLC side, our sign up form. So that's what that looks like. So however you choose to beautify it, that's what it'll look like on your website as whenever you embed it there. And when you go to publish, you have all of these different embedding options. We use WordPress, but I have found the easiest is just to get the iframe, and I copy this code and just paste that into my WordPress site using Elementor, and it seems to work great. But if we want
you mean Elementor for WordPress?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yep. So in here, we can do all sorts of things on here. We can go choose, here's the page color, so we can make the page black, and then I can make the form, gray or whatever. I can go in and choose all of these different things. I can change the logo. It stores a whole bunch of your images in here, and it's not super easy to see, but yeah, we got all sorts of stuff in there. So I know I have a white one in here somewhere. Here's one of our other fun ones. We use that one. Okay, so you can put that in there. And now on top of this, you can choose your different color schemes, and it'll just kind of change it for you. You can do, ooh, that's hideous. You can also go play around with the advanced designer, which you have a little bit technologically advanced to work with this, because it's kind of finicky when you do it, but you can really get into specific details. Like a lot of times, I don't like how much padding there is between the logo and the form. So you can go specifically click on that, and you can change the margin or the padding on that if you would like. You can make your labels bold and make the spacing smaller. You can make the fields get closer together or farther apart. So this, is an advanced designer. It's going to get more to the nitty gritty of each thing. You can actually design your button. So you can go look at all of the different button templates. Now that button does change based on the theme or the template that you choose, but then you can still go in here and all sorts of fun options. You can change what the button says and do whatever you'd like here. So there's lots of things that you can do within JotForm. I've really made this ugly just to show you all the things that you can do. We'll put that one on. That one's a little prettier. Well, now it's not going to do it. See, y'all are watching, so it's going to stop working again. Yeah, you can even change the font, the size of the text that's in the button. So all sorts of fun things to do there. Let's just make something like that. All right. Before you leave the Advanced Designer, make sure you hit Save Changes. And then you can go back to Builder. Trying to think. I could show my user guide. That gives you a pretty detailed view. Josh, I don't know if you want me to do that, but
yes, go ahead, show ahead. She's got a user guide that she's created for her company, and she's also has some scripts that are HTML based as well. But go ahead and show what you've done with that as well.
Sure. Okay, so when I first launched Score with my staff, I created a user guide within JotForm. So inside of each one of my workflow steps, you can see that in the sales pitch, I have a hyperlink to say open script or user guide. And that's going to take you to this form. So I'll show you about how to build it that way in a second, but this is what that form looks like. I use lots of add-ins and things like that. So I actually have tabs that talk about each individual step of our workflow. So this is just kind of like an overview of everything. You know, I'm just going through showing my people the changes in vocabulary and in the dashboard and all that kind of stuff. And then talk about plans and the pricing, the client intake. And once you get now here, the sales pitch, these are the different workflow steps. So now this is kind of like an interactive script because you can actually have as many of these as many JotForms as you want open at a time. So you can say, are you speaking to the lead right now? Let's just say, no, I'm not. All right. So now within there, we're going to add a tag for new lead left message 1. And then down here, you can choose which one of those tags you add to see what automation happens. So if I choose new lead left message 1, then here's the email from the salesperson to the lead. And there's a snippet of it. The text that's going to be sent, the note that's automatically added. And then a to-do is set for the salesperson, new lead call 2, added to the lead immediately, but not due until the next day. So it really just walks you through every step of the way. Now let's say we are speaking to them on the phone. These are different things like talking points that we tell them to talk about. The form gets kind of weird if you choose one option and then go to another. So let me do that again. So yes, I'm talking to them on the phone. So get through the lead called, click save and continue. So now I'm on the next step. The next step is Credit Armor. Are you still on the phone with them? Yes. Is the lead ready to set up their Credit Armor membership? Yes. So now this talk has all the different talking points and scripts and things like that we'd like. So point is, JotForm lets you really do some really cool stuff. You can make it look as fun or as basic as you want. And you can do some really cool things like this tab stuff up here. This is actually a widget. So over here on the elements, these are going to be like your basic things. But then you've got widgets over here that let you do a whole bunch of fun stuff. And I definitely encourage you to just sit here and kind of play with these and see things that might be helpful to you. But I think I have the tab, form tab. So I'm already using that. And then whenever you add that widget, you can just go to your widget settings over here. And that's when you enter all of your different tabs. And then, there's different things that it asks about customizing. And then the tabs are actually just pages. So every time I add a new page to my JotForm, that is a new tab, coincides. So there's a lot of really cool stuff that you can do with JotForm, and I honestly haven't even touched on it. I've got tables that do automation and do pass-through. There's all sorts of fun stuff. But as far as integrating with Score, that is everything you need to know. Do we have any questions or anything else you want me to go over?
Can you test the form?
Oh, we already did, and it worked.
Oh, can you show them? Can you show them?
Yep. Yep, because see, there's the Kate test one that I did right there.
Awesome. Awesome. Any questions, anyone?
My gosh, are we actually going to finish a webinar on time?
On time. This is a first. This is a first.
Mind blowing.
I think what we need to do is let everybody talk like Chris on the next one. It's a lot quicker. Yeah, Chris is having. Did you say you have to troubleshoot some of your form, Chris? Awesome. Well, we can always schedule a meeting. It didn't go through. Let's schedule a meeting with Jasmine. It can be a multitude of issues, but feel free to schedule a quick call and she can walk you through the process.
Yeah, Chris, if you want, shoot us make some snippets of how you have your JotForms set up and then your code snippet, and we can just kind of look at those and make sure that everything is linked okay. Did you set up your webhook, your integration for your webhook? That is the most important step.
Yeah, he thinks. I think we're gonna have to walk him through it. That's okay, Chris. And anyone on the call, and you can go ahead and initiate a chat, and then Jasmine can schedule follow through on that, and we can go and help you set that up. Oh, Chris, now you can speak.
If you need to.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I think I did the webhook. I put that URL in there, the one that says get request. And then I did the form with the correct form ID. I even copied the form ID from the snippet and pasted that in to the actual value.
And were they similar to mine where they're just numbers? A couple.
Yeah, it was like 703 and then the other one's the 14432 and then the part where under field details, the unique name. Yeah, so I copied from the snippet the actual form ID, how it's typed out there, and then that's what I pasted in the unique name.
Make sure that it has to be the way that I put them in the chat there. So make sure that the name specifically says form and then ID with a capital I.
So it's case sensitive.
It is case sensitive. Is the F capitalized or no?
No, it is not. None of these have the first letter capitalized, but then the first letter of the second word is capitalized. So if we go to, I think it was phone, see, like phone is lowercase,
yeah,
but then number is uppercase. So that seems to be the common nomenclature.
Okay.
So make sure it's lowercase FORM, capital I, lowercase d. Okay. And then same thing for the referral ID. Referral is all lowercase and then capital I, lowercase d.
Okay, try that.
And then name, email, and phone should have automatically been named correctly.
Okay. Yeah, those look good. All right, so then you go to publish. I did open in new tab. I got the email that it went through, but I didn't see it in my score.
Okay. Yeah, do it now that we've got those named correctly. Do another test and see if it works there.
Jasmine, can he share his screen as well?
He's a presenter. He should be able to.
Yeah.
Yes,
Why don't if you want to share your screen, we can all take a look if you want at it. But mind you that everyone is looking at your screen, not just us.
Yeah. Let me see. I think I don't know how long it takes to go through.
That should be fairly quick, within
I got
seconds.
it. Okay, that worked. It was just the
Caps.
case sensitivity. So yeah.
Awesome. So for Akelia and Rosalure, you guys are your gals are you can all benefit from that. You just got some tutorial there.
We've all learned it is definitely
we-
case sensitive.
Yeah, Kate has gone through that, and she's probably gone through that mistake as well and figured it out, huh, Kate?
Yep. Been there, done that.
Awesome.
I
Are
mean,
there any other questions?
I mean, I have a general question that kind of relates to this since it's Zapier. Is there a way to integrate through Zapier and connect Salesforce to ScoreCEO?
Yes.
Well, why are you using Salesforce? We have Score. So
Well,
no, you
It
can't.
doesn't do everything, ScoreCEO. And I'm actually a Salesforce administrator, so I used it before, and
Absolutely.
I set up like a whole bunch of different, almost kind of like the stuff you did with JotForm. I have that all set up in Salesforce.
Well, Zapier is my number one favorite tool to use ever, and I'm a big fan. So yes, you absolutely can, and I would be. Do what?
Kate, you might want to mention next week's webinars on Zapier.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
So,
it is.
preview.
Hold on, let me validate that. Jasmine, did we say that next week was going to be Zapier and how to integrate Zapier?
Yes,
Janet?
yes, it's gonna be with Zapier.
I say next week, but it's in 2 weeks.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
2 weeks from now. It's a Zapier webinar.
Yeah.
So yes, we'll get into details next week, but in short answer, yes. JotForm, I would be absolutely shocked if it's not already. Yep. So JotForm is already integrated, but both JotForm and Zapier also do webhooks. So that is usually the easiest way when you're.
And
if you don't
ScoreCEO
mind.
integrates with Zapier as well.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, and that's what I want. I want to be able, whenever we put a lead into Score, it also goes into Salesforce.
Okay. That's awesome. If you want to go ahead and do, you can. We're limited to the common fields that we share, right? But there's quite a few things that you can do with the current ScoreCEO variables that you have, and we're probably addressing more variables than anybody else in the industry at this time. That's going to grow over time as well. We're just very careful on what. Let's call it invoicing type events we let customers do on their own. It's just a compliance issue.
It's nothing to do with that. It's more tracking. I could get into the weeds on different
So,
stuff to do with
If
different
if this is your screen, if you're just worried about name, email, did the lead come in, did it not come in, was it updated, was it not updated, all that stuff you can do.
Yeah, that's all we want to be able to do, because then there's stuff on the back end that we do. Like I said, we track different things outside
That's
of.
awesome.
So the
awesome.
best way to integrate things, if you want to send information from Score to anything else, as long as you have Zapier, is to use the email parser, which is something that I use. So and that'll take a bit. So I can actually make a point on the next webinar to go over the email parser. But that is how I have my Score integrated with QuickBooks. Because it's all just based on emails. So an email parser means that it's actually going to take the, actually, let me see, I think I have this saved here, parser. So you just have Score send an email using your, using your field variables, and it will, login was that, I always do that, okay, authorize. All right, so you receive an email and then you go in and you tell it what, I don't like this inbox, tell it what to do with those. So like, this is the first name, this is the last name, this is the last four of their social, that's their plan, and so on. And so when you receive that email now, and you create that specific inbox. When you receive that email, now you've got all of those fields to go integrate with whatever you want in Zapier and send those fields wherever you want. So that is email parsing using Zapier, and it has been a lifesaver for me. So we can go into more details on that next week.
Perfect. I'll be there.
Cool. I think using an email parser might be an extra Zapier.
Yes, it's gonna take up another Zap.
It might even be an extra charge on top of that, though, possibly. I'm not sure. I feel like there was something else. Might want to check that out and just make sure. I have like the most big expensive Zapier plan because I use it a lot. So I know a lot of stuff is included in mine that's not included on others. So just check on that and make sure you're not adding more cost to you. Do we have any other questions? Any progress on our other two quiet ladies? Are you guys good to go? Silence, I guess, is good. So I think we're all good.
Awesome. Thank you for this week's webinar. For assisting this week's webinar, if you need to talk to me or set up some time to talk shop, talk compliance, there's a lot of new things happening in the industry. Feel free to reach out to me. This is my link. That's a long link, but Jasmine is going to put it in the chat for you to copy and paste and go ahead and schedule a call with me. Jasmine, can you go ahead and do that for everyone real quick? Jasmine?
Yep, she just did.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
there.
Awesome.
I pinned it so it can show up on the top.
Awesome. Well, have a great day, everyone.